My precious child, stop everything you are doing right now. Put down whatever is in your hands. Close whatever is pulling your attention away. Because what I am about to reveal to you today cannot be heard with a divided mind. I am Archangel Michael, and I have been standing at the gates of a vault in heaven that holds something with your name written upon it. This is not a figure of speech. This is not a metaphor designed to comfort you for a moment and then fade. There is a real inheritance that the Most High sealed away before you ever took your first breath on this earth. And today, the seal is breaking. I need you to understand the weight of what is happening in this very moment. The heavens have grown quiet. The angels who normally move with great speed through the corridors of glory have paused, and they are watching you. Do you feel that stillness pressing against your chest? That is not anxiety. That is not your imagination playing tricks on a tired mind. What you sense right now is the atmosphere of heaven bending toward your life because the divine appointment that was written in permanent ink has finally arrived at its appointed hour. For so long you have wondered whether your name was truly known in the courts above. You have questioned in those lonely midnight hours whether your prayers were merely echoes bouncing off empty walls. You whispered my name. You called out to the Father I Am, and when the answer did not arrive on your schedule, a quiet voice tried to convince you that perhaps you were forgotten. But I am here today to shatter that lie with a force that will leave no room for it to return. You were never overlooked. You were never placed on a waiting list while others received their portion. What happened was something far more intentional, far more sacred, far more powerful than your natural mind could have understood at the time. The Most High looked at the timeline of your existence. Every single day you would face, every single battle you would endure, every single tear that would trace a path down your face at 3 a.m. when nobody else was awake. And he said, this child will need something that matches the magnitude of what they will survive. And so, he wrote your inheritance with his own hand. He placed it inside a scroll bound with 7 seals, and he handed it to me. He said, Michael, guard this with the full authority of heaven. Let no principality touch it. Let no fallen voice claim it. And when the appointed day arrives, when this child has walked through the fire long enough to carry what I have prepared, open it. That day, my child, is today. I watched you through every season of your becoming. I was there on the mornings you woke up and the weight of your world pressed so heavily upon your chest that breathing felt like an act of war. You did not know I was standing in the corner of your room, my wings folded tight, my sword drawn, keeping back forces that you could not perceive with your natural eyes. You thought you were alone. You thought the silence in your home was evidence that heaven had turned its face from you. But the opposite was true. The silence you felt was the sound of an entire army holding its breath, waiting for the exact moment the Father had chosen to move on your behalf. Do you remember those nights when sleep would not come? When your mind replayed every failure, every rejection, every cruel word that someone planted in your spirit like a poison seed? I was there for every single one of those nights. I counted them. Not because I was keeping a record of your suffering, but because each one of those nights was being recorded in the book of remembrance that stands before the throne of the Most High. Every tear you shed became a jewel in your crown. Every prayer you whispered through cracked lips became a note in a symphony that the angels of heaven are still singing today. If your spirit bears witness that these words were written for you, if something deep inside your chest is stirring right now in a way that your mind cannot fully explain, leave a comment below with the word Amen. That single word becomes your signature on what heaven is releasing over your life today. Let your fingers declare what your heart already knows. You held on, my child, through circumstances that would have broken most people. You held on. When friendships dissolved like morning mist, and the ones who swore loyalty disappeared without explanation, you held on. When your body ached and the doctors gave you reports that made your stomach drop, you held on. when your finances crumbled and the bills stacked higher than your ability to count them. You refused to curse my name. Instead, you fell to your knees and said the most powerful words a human being can utter in the middle of devastation. I still trust you. Those 3 words moved mountains in the spirit realm that you will only fully comprehend when you stand before the throne yourself. When you said, I still trust you, through tears and confusion and exhaustion, the courts of heaven went silent. Angels turned to look. Principalities that had been assigned to destroy your faith took a step backward. Because there is no weapon in all of darkness that can withstand a broken human being who still chooses to believe. I saw the seasons when provision seemed impossible. When you opened your refrigerator and found almost nothing. When you calculated your remaining funds and the numbers refused to cooperate with your needs. You thought perhaps the Father had forgotten his promise to provide. But what you could not see was that I was already in motion, stirring the hearts of people you had never met, redirecting resources through channels you did not know existed, preparing a table in the wilderness that would arrive at the exact moment you needed it most. Not a single day of lack was wasted. Each one taught your spirit to depend on a source that the world economy cannot touch. And I watched how you handled betrayal. This is where most people fracture beyond repair. But not you. When someone you loved with your whole heart looked you in the eyes and chose to walk away. When trust was shattered by the very person who promised to protect it. I saw you weep. I saw the devastation ripple through your entire being like an earthquake that left no wall standing. But then I witnessed something that made the throne room of heaven erupt with joy. You chose to forgive. Not because it was easy. Not because the pain was small. But because somewhere deep in your spirit, you understood that unforgiveness would lock the very door that heaven was preparing to open for you. I also saw the battles you fought inside your own mind when no one else was watching. The thoughts that attacked you at midnight like arrows aimed at your identity. Voices of accusation that replayed your worst moments on a loop so relentless that you began to wonder whether the failures defined you. The enemy of your soul used every weapon in his arsenal to convince you that your past disqualified you from your future. He whispered that you had made too many mistakes, that the Father was disappointed in you, that other people deserved blessings but you somehow did not, and yet you stood. Not perfectly, not without stumbling, but you stood. You may have wobbled. You may have cried while standing. You may have questioned everything while refusing to let go of the one thing that mattered. And that imperfect, trembling, tear-soaked stance was the most beautiful act of worship heaven has witnessed in this generation. I need you to hear this clearly, my child. Every morning you chose to rise when everything inside you wanted to stay down was recorded in the archives of eternity. Not with pity or but with honor. Because in the economy of heaven, the greatest demonstrations of power are not the moments when lightning splits the sky. The greatest demonstrations are the quiet mornings when an exhausted human being, uncertain and barely holding together, chooses to believe anyway. That is the faith that makes thrones tremble. That is the trust that causes principalities to retreat. If that act of faithfulness stirs something sacred inside you today, if you recognize that your journey has been held and honored by heaven itself, press that like button right now, not as a casual gesture, but as an act of agreement with what the Most High is declaring over your existence in this very moment. Let it be your way of saying, I receive this word into my life. Now hear me carefully, because what I am about to tell you explains everything you could not understand during the hardest years of your journey. You thought the silence of heaven was a sign of distance. You interpreted the lack of visible movement as evidence that your prayers were ineffective. But I need to correct that assumption today, with the full authority of the one who sent me. The silence was not empty. The silence was strategic. While you were walking through the valley, while you were enduring seasons that felt like punishment, the Most High was engaged in a work so intricate and so vast that it required your complete unawareness to function properly. Think about what happens beneath the soil in winter. The ground appears dead. The trees stand naked against the cold sky. Nothing visible is growing, but beneath the frozen surface, roots are spreading. Networks of nourishment are being established. The architecture of the next harvest is being constructed in total darkness. That is exactly what was happening in your life during every season you thought was barren. The Father was rearranging people. He was removing individuals from your path who would have contaminated what he was building. Some of the friendships that ended, some of the relationships that crumbled, some of the opportunities that fell apart at the last moment, those were not failures. Those were divine removals. The Most High was clearing your field so that the seeds he was about to plant would not have to compete with weeds for nourishment. Every person who left your life was escorted out by angels acting on specific instructions from the throne. At the same time, he was positioning new people, men and women you have not yet met, or perhaps you have already encountered them but do not yet recognize their significance, are being moved into alignment with your next chapter. These are covenant connections. These are not people who will drain you and disappear. These are individuals who carry pieces of your purpose, and you carry pieces of theirs. The Father has been orchestrating these introductions with the precision of a master architect who sees the completed building before the first stone is laid. And listen to what was happening with your prayers during those silent years. You prayed. You fasted. You poured out your heart at altars both physical and invisible. And when the answer did not arrive, when the situation remained unchanged, you began to wonder whether your words had any power at all. But every prayer you offered reached the throne. Not a single syllable was lost. Not one request was dismissed or set aside. What happened is something the human mind struggles to accept because it operates outside earthly time. Your prayers were received, acknowledged, and then held. The Father gathered them like precious oil in a golden bowl. He did not ignore them. He collected them. Because he knew that the answer was not a single event. It was a season. And that season could not begin until you were ready to carry its weight. I want you to understand this deeply. The prayers you thought were wasted were actually the most valuable currency in the economy of heaven. Some of those prayers are being answered right now, in this very hour. Even as you listen to these words, doors that resisted every attempt you made to open them are beginning to shift on their hinges. Financial provision that seemed impossible is being routed toward you through pathways you cannot yet trace. Medical situations that appeared permanent are being touched by a hand that no laboratory instrument can detect. The Father did not forget a single word you spoke into the darkness. He was waiting for the soil of your heart to be deep enough to hold the harvest without losing it. If you have walked through that fire, if you know what it means to choose faith when every circumstance screamed at you to quit, type these words right now. I receive what heaven has prepared for me. Let those words rise from your spirit and enter the record of heaven. Because what you declare with your mouth in agreement with what God has spoken becomes an anchor in the spiritual realm that cannot be moved. I want to speak now about the specific battles you fought in the hidden places. Because this is where the true measure of your faithfulness was tested. And this is what qualified you for what is being released today. There were mornings when the alarm sounded and every fiber of your being wanted to surrender. The thought of facing another day in the same circumstances, the same financial pressure, the same relational tension, the same unanswered questions, felt like a sentence rather than an opportunity. But you got up. You placed your feet on the floor. You straightened your back. And you walked into that day carrying a faith that was heavier than the burden itself. Heaven noticed every one of those mornings. The angels recorded each one, not with pity, but with profound respect. Because the greatest demonstrations of divine power are not always the spectacular miracles that split the seas and topple city walls. Sometimes the greatest demonstration is a 63-year-old woman who rises from a bed she wet with tears, puts on clothing that feels like armor, and walks into a day she is not sure she can survive. That is power. That is the raw, undecorated, earth-shaking power of faith operating under impossible pressure. And that is exactly what you did. Day after day, week after week, season after season. You also carried weight that no one else could see. The emotional labor of holding a family together when the seams were tearing. The mental exhaustion of solving problems that multiplied faster than your solutions could arrive. The spiritual warfare of maintaining your confession of faith when your circumstances were screaming a completely different story. You smiled in public while bleeding in private. You encouraged others while your own encouragement had run dry. You prayed for other people while wondering who was praying for you. I need you to receive this next truth with your entire being. What I am about to reveal is the reason behind everything you endured. The waiting was not random. The pain was not pointless. The delays were not denials. Every single moment of difficulty in your life was a chisel in the hands of the master sculptor, shaping you into a vessel that could contain the magnitude of what was coming. If the inheritance had been released too early, before your character had been refined, before your humility had been deepened, before your compassion had been widened by your own suffering, the blessing would have destroyed you instead of elevating you. The Father loved you too much to let that happen. And there is something more you must grasp before I reveal what comes next. The timing of this moment is not arbitrary. The Father does not operate on human calendars. He moves according to a divine clock that measures readiness, not minutes. You may have asked him 1,000 times, "When, Lord? When will the breakthrough arrive? When will the promise become real?" And each time his answer was the same. Not yet, but soon. And when soon arrives, you will understand why every second of the wait was necessary. That soon has arrived, my child. Today is the day your patience becomes a trophy rather than a burden. Today is the day the Father looks at the vessel he has been shaping in secret and declares, "Now it is ready. Now it can hold what I have been storing up. Now the seal can break." I have watched you struggle with the comparison trap. You saw others receiving what seemed like effortless breakthroughs while you labored in obscurity. Their social media pages painted pictures of abundance, while your reality felt like a desert that refused to bloom. But I need you to know something that will set your heart free. What you saw in their lives was a single frame from a movie you did not watch from the beginning. You did not see their midnight tears. You did not hear their desperate prayers. You did not know about the private battles they endured before the public blessing was displayed. And more importantly, their scroll is not your scroll. Their inheritance was written for their name, their purpose, their assignment. Yours was custom designed for the specific shape of your destiny. If you sense that this message is part of an ongoing revelation that heaven is unfolding across your life, if you understand that what you are hearing today is not a single word, but a chapter in a larger story that God is writing through you, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on those notifications. This is how you ensure that the next chapter reaches you the moment it is released. This journey does not end here. It is only beginning to accelerate. Now listen to me with everything you have. What I am about to reveal is the core of why I was sent to you today. This is the revelation that unlocks every other truth I have spoken. Lean in close, because these words carry the weight of eternity. The scroll that bears your name, the one I have been guarding since before the foundations of the earth were laid, has been unsealed today, not tomorrow, not next month, not in some distant future that you have to earn your way toward. The 7 seals that held your inheritance in the vault of heaven have been broken by the hand of the Most High Himself. And what is written inside that scroll is now being poured out over your life with a force that no power in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth can reverse. Do you understand what this means? Every promise that was spoken over you, every prophetic word that was planted in your spirit, every midnight prayer that rose from your lips like incense in the darkness, they were all deposited into this scroll. They were not lost. They were not scattered into the atmosphere to disappear. They were gathered, collected, preserved with the same care that a mother preserves the first letter her child ever wrote. And now they are being released as a single overwhelming river of fulfillment that will reshape the landscape of your existence. The inheritance inside your scroll is not one thing. It is not a single blessing or a single breakthrough or a single open door. It is a complete restoration. The Father wrote into your scroll the restoration of your health, the restoration of your peace, the restoration of relationships that were torn apart by misunderstanding and pain, the restoration of finances that were stolen by circumstances you did not create, the restoration of dreams that were buried so deep you forgot they existed. All of it. Everything. Written in the handwriting of God Himself. And here is what makes this moment different from every other moment of hope you have experienced. This is not conditional. The seal has already been broken. The release has already been authorized. You cannot disqualify yourself from what has already been decreed by the throne of the Almighty. The enemy will try to convince you that you need to do more, pray more, fast more, prove yourself worthy. But that is a lie designed to delay what has already been set in motion. Your worthiness was never based on your performance. It was established by the blood of the covenant before you were born. You do not earn an inheritance, you receive one. The moment the seal broke, things began to shift in the spiritual realm around you. Angels that had been stationed at the borders of your life received new orders. The assignment changed from protection to delivery. They are no longer simply guarding you from harm. They are now carrying the contents of your scroll into the physical realm where you can touch them and walk in them. What was invisible is becoming visible. What was promised is becoming present. What was hoped for is becoming held. You will begin to notice changes in the way people respond to you. Conversations that used to be closed and guarded will suddenly become open and filled with unexpected favor. Individuals who overlooked your presence will begin to seek you out, not because you changed your approach, but because the atmosphere around you has shifted. When heaven releases an inheritance over a life, that life begins to carry an anointing that other people can sense even if they cannot name it. My child, this revelation is not for you alone. There is someone in your life right now who has been walking through the same darkness that you know so well. Someone who cries in private and tells nobody. Someone whose faith is hanging by a thread so thin that one more disappointment could snap it. I need you to be the messenger that heaven sends to them today. Think of at least 3 people who are carrying invisible burdens. People in your church group, in your family group chat, in your circle who smile on the outside but are breaking on the inside. And send this message to them right now. Share it to your Facebook group where someone is silently suffering. Text it directly to that person whose name just appeared in your mind. Because when you extend what heaven has given you to someone who needs it desperately, the Father multiplies what was released over your own life beyond anything you could calculate. Now, I want you to understand what is happening in the physical realm as a result of what was released in the spiritual. Because the effects of a broken seal do not remain invisible, they manifest, and the manifestation has already begun, even if your eyes have not fully registered it yet. Some of the changes will be practical and immediate. Financial pathways that were completely blocked will begin to clear. Resources you did not pursue will arrive through people and circumstances you could not have engineered. The Father is not limited to one channel of provision. He has 10,000 channels, and He is opening several of them simultaneously over your life. Medical situations that plateaued or worsened are being touched by a hand that no physician can replicate. Bodies that were tired and broken are being renewed from the inside out, not through wishful thinking, but through the sovereign command of the one who designed your body and knows every cell by name. Others will be relational. People who hurt you will begin to carry the weight of conviction without you saying a single word. Reconciliation that seemed impossible will become available, not because the other person suddenly became righteous, but because the scroll over your life includes the healing of wounds that were inflicted by others. You will not have to chase restoration. It will come to you, carried by the same angels who are delivering every other portion of your inheritance. And some changes will be deeply internal. Fears that dominated your thinking for years will begin to lose their grip. Anxieties that woke you at 2 a.m. will gradually release their hold. A peace that does not make sense in the context of your circumstances will settle over you like a warm covering on a cold night. This peace is not denial. It is not pretending that challenges do not exist. It is the supernatural confidence that comes from knowing with absolute certainty that the one who holds your scroll has already written the ending. And the ending is victory. But I must also tell you something that requires great courage to hear. Because the release of your inheritance did not go unnoticed by the enemy of your soul. He knew about the scroll. He has known about it for your entire life. And every attack, every betrayal, every season of crushing difficulty was his attempt to break you before this day arrived. He understood something that you are only now beginning to grasp. The contents of your scroll are not merely personal blessings, they are weapons. They are tools of purpose, designed to liberate others still trapped in the very chains that once held you. Your testimony is not just a story, it is an instrument of deliverance. The enemy fought you so viciously because he knew that once the seal was broken, once the inheritance was released, your life would become a threat to his kingdom. Every person you help, every prayer you pray with authority, every word of encouragement you speak into a broken life, each of these acts becomes a detonation in the darkness that sets captives free. And the enemy is terrified of what you are about to become. But hear this clearly. His time of opposition is ending. The resistance you felt, the heaviness that pressed against your progress like walking through deep water, that was the last stand of an adversary who knows his assignment against you has been revoked. The Father issued a decree in the courts of heaven that every weapon formed against your purpose, every lie spoken over your identity, every generational pattern designed to keep you small and silent, is now null and void. The authority has shifted. The gavel has fallen. And the verdict is irrevocable. If your spirit is burning with recognition right now, if you know deep in your core that these words carry the weight of truth that was meant specifically for your life and your situation, type these words. I walk in the authority heaven has given me. Let that declaration ring through the spiritual corridors where angels are listening and enemies are trembling. Because when a child of the Most High speaks in agreement with what the throne has decreed, the entire spiritual landscape rearranges itself around that declaration. Now, I need you to pay attention with every fiber of your being, because what I am about to speak over you is not merely encouragement. It is not a motivational message designed to make you feel good for a few hours and then fade. What is coming next is a charge, a divine commission issued from the highest authority in existence. And once it is spoken over you, your life will never return to what it was before. But first, let me show you something that will anchor this charge in the bedrock of truth. Look back at your journey, not with the eyes of regret, but with the eyes of heaven. See the young person you once were, full of dreams that seemed impossibly large, and a faith that had not yet been tested. Watch as life began to press in. See the first disappointment land, the first heartbreak, the first moment when reality failed to match the promise. See yourself stumble and question and nearly abandon the path entirely. And then see yourself get back up. That is the moment the angels talk about. Not the stumble, the rising. 100 mornings of rising after 100 nights of falling. 1,000 choices to believe when believing made no logical sense. That is your story. That is the testimony that makes the throne room of heaven stand in ovation for your name. You are not the same person who began this journey. The fire did not destroy you, it refined you. The storms did not break you. They strengthened your roots until they reached depths that nothing on this earth can penetrate. The loneliness did not diminish you. It taught you that the presence of the Father is worth more than 1,000 human companions who cannot stay. You have been forged, my child, hammered and heated and shaped and cooled. And the result is a vessel of such extraordinary beauty that heaven itself pauses to admire what endurance has created. Now here is your charge. And I speak it not on my own authority, but on the authority of the Most High God, whose throne stands eternal above every power and every name and every force in all of existence. Today, you are charged to walk through the open door. No more standing at the threshold wondering if you are allowed to enter. No more pressing your face against the window, watching other people receive what was meant for you. The door is open. The Father opened it with his own hand. And he is standing on the other side with arms wide, waiting for you to step across the line from the season of preparation into the season of possession. You are charged to put down the garments of your former season, the cloak of shame that the enemy draped over your shoulders when you made mistakes. Take it off. The heavy chain of unworthiness that you have been dragging for years because someone told you that you would never amount to anything. Set it down. The mask of pretending that everything is fine when your heart is bleeding, remove it. You do not need those garments where you are going. The Father has prepared new clothing for you. Robes of authority. Garments of praise. A crown that was custom made for the shape of your head and the weight of your calling. Step into them now. You are charged to speak with the voice that heaven has given you. For too long you have silenced yourself. You have held back words of truth because you were afraid of rejection. But the scroll that was unsealed today contains a mandate for your voice. When you speak, atmospheres will shift. When you pray, strongholds will crack. When you declare the word of the Most High over impossible situations, those situations will begin to move. Not because of the volume, but because of the authority that backs it. You are charged to walk in boldness where you once walked in fear. The places that used to intimidate you are now your territory. The challenges that used to paralyze your progress are now the stepping stones that elevate you to the next level. Fear has been stripped of its jurisdiction over your life. Today, by decree, by the word of the Almighty spoken through my lips directly into your spirit, now I lift my voice to a level that shakes the foundations of every opposing force that has ever dared to stand against your destiny. What I am about to declare cannot be challenged. It cannot be appealed. It cannot be overturned by any court in any realm. This is the final decree of the Most High God over your life, spoken through my authority as the commander of the armies of heaven. By the power of the eternal throne, I decree that every chain attached to your name is severed. Every generational curse that traveled through your bloodline stops here. Every assignment of delay, every spirit of stagnation, every contract written against your prosperity, your health, your relationships, and your peace is burned in the fire of the presence of God. It is finished. The hold is broken. The authority is revoked. And the freedom that flows from this decree is permanent. I decree that what was stolen from you will be returned multiplied. The years the locust consumed, the joy that was taken by grief, the opportunities that were intercepted by the enemy. The Father is commanding a sevenfold restoration over every area of loss, not because you earned it, but because the covenant that covers your life demands it. And the Most High always honors his covenant. I decree that your latter days will eclipse your former days in every measurable dimension. The peace you will carry will exceed anything you have ever known. The provision that flows into your life will surpass the boundaries of what you thought was possible. The relationships being prepared for you will be marked by a depth of loyalty and love that will heal every wound left by those who cannot stay. The purpose that is being activated in your spirit will reach into corners of darkness that have never been touched by light, and it will set people free. I decree that nothing formed against you from this day forward will prosper. No weapon, no word, no scheme, no principality, no hidden agenda, no human opposition, nothing. The shield of the Most High covers you on every side. His angels surround you like a wall of fire. His word goes before you like a sharp sword clearing the path. And His presence walks with you as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. You are covered. You are protected. You are unstoppable. Not because of your own strength, but because the Creator of the universe has declared you His own, and what belongs to Him cannot be touched. This decree is sealed. It is signed with the blood of the everlasting covenant. It is witnessed by every angel in the host of heaven, and it is effective immediately, not from some future date, but from this very moment as these words enter your spirit and take root in the soil of your faith. My child, you have received something today that cannot be taken from you. The sealed scroll is open. The inheritance is flowing. The decree is signed. And the door that was held shut for so long now stands wide before you, waiting for you to walk through with the confidence of someone who knows they belong on the other side. Let me gather everything I have spoken into a single truth that you can carry in your heart from this day forward. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. You were never too broken or too late or too ordinary for the plans of the Most High. Every tear was a seed. Every prayer was a stone in the foundation. Every act of faithfulness in the darkness was a qualification for the light that is now breaking over your life. You held on. And heaven is proud of the person your endurance has created. Now receive this blessing as my final gift to you today. May the light of the Most High illuminate every step of your path from this moment forward. May His peace guard your mind and His joy restore your strength. May every promise in your scroll manifest with a speed and a beauty that takes your breath away. May your household be covered, your children protected, your body healed, your finances restored, and may every person who hears your testimony be drawn into the same light that has found you today. If this word touched you, if it reached a place in your spirit that has been waiting for exactly this message, share it with at least 4 people who need to hear it. Send it in a direct text to that friend who has been struggling in silence. Post it in your WhatsApp group where someone is carrying a burden nobody else sees. Drop it into your church community chat where hearts need lifting. When you extend what heaven gave you, the blessing does not divide, it multiplies. And, my child, if you want to be part of the mission that carries these divine messages to hurting souls around the world, if you feel called to support the work that brings these words to people who are one prayer away from giving up, you can do so through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether you become a member of our community or sow a seed through a donation on Ko-Fi, every act of generosity becomes a lifeline that heaven extends through your hands. This is not about building something earthly. This is about sustaining a mission that the Most High Himself has anointed to reach the brokenhearted, the forgotten, and the weary in every corner of this world. Your support does not go to a channel. It goes to a calling. And heaven records every seed you plant with the same care that it recorded your prayers in the midnight hours. I also want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and turn on those notification bells if you have not already done so. Because what was spoken over you today is the beginning of something that will continue to unfold across many messages and many seasons. Each time you return, you are stepping back into the presence of heaven to receive the next portion of what the Father has written in your scroll. Do not let the algorithm decide whether you receive it. Make that choice yourself. Subscribe now so that the next chapter finds you without delay. And now, say, bow my head before the throne of the Almighty, and I pray over you with the full authority and tenderness of heaven. Father, this child has endured. They have been faithful in the dark and steadfast in the storm. The scroll is open. The decree is spoken. Now, let every word I have delivered today take deep root in the soil of their spirit and produce a harvest that outlives this generation. Protect them as they walk through the open door. Surround them with angels of provision and angels of purpose. Let their testimony become a river that waters every dry place it touches. And let them know, beyond any shadow of doubt, that they are loved, that they are seen, that they are chosen, and that what has begun today will not be stopped until every promise is fulfilled. In the mighty and matchless name of the one who holds all things together, it is sealed, it is done, and so it shall be. Amen.